Hey, welcome to the LifeHugger Podcast. I am Evelyn, and here with me today is my friend Syafiq.
Oh, hi.
Didn't notice you were here.
Oh, yeah.
Syafiq is Singaporean,
Yes.
born, bred in the proud land of the Merlion.
Bedok, stand up.
And the topic that we're going to be talking about today is the racial dynamics in Singapore. So why don't we just start with an overview of the racial makeup of Singapore.
Yeah.
Ethnic Chinese make up 76.2%.
Wow.
Malays make up 15%.
What's up, Malays?
Indians make up 7.4%.
Yep.
And then there's this fourth category called Eurasians /
Or
others, which is
Pan-Asians,
like about 1%.
Yeah.
So part of why I want to talk about this is before living in Singapore, I've never felt so Chinese. Like I felt more Chinese since I've moved here. I would get into the cab or like a Grab.
Yeah.
And then I'd like chit chat with the driver and they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" I'm like, "Indonesia."
Yeah.
And they're like, "But you're Chinese Indonesian, right?"
Yeah.
They want to clarify that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And that has happened so many times.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Yes, because that's what we're gonna
Talk about today.
Yeah. So, what racism is like here is what I would like to call casual racism. It's just comfortable.
And I've heard this term being thrown around
Yeah.
quite a bit too, like casual racism. Do you want to
Technic-
explain
yeah.
what that means?
Racism here is so comfortable that I could make a very bad Chinese joke to a Chinese friend, and then they would just be like, "Haha, you're hilarious."
Yeah.
And then they would do the same about me. And these are just based off the stereotypes.
Yeah.
Stereotypes such as the Chinese are hardworking, are good at math, and cannot dance. Malays are lazy, very talented at things that are not very important, like football, singing, playing the guitar, riding motorcycles.
Okay.
Yeah, I was at a stand-up comedy show here where this black comedian, should I say that? Yeah, but he's from America. He was here for a few months, and so he noticed it, and he made the comparisons. So he started saying, it's not very different between us here in Singapore and in America. He said the Chinese people are the white people, very efficient.
The majority
Yeah,
too.
the majority, they are in positions of power, and they can't dance. Same thing, right? And then the Malay people are the blacks, basically. We're very talented. The NBA is filled with black people, and our entire football team is Malay, and there's just one Chinese guy.
Is that so?
Yeah,
the
it's
national
true.
football
Yeah,
team
it
here.
is, yeah. Shout out Gabriel Quek. And then
Gabriel Quek is a Malay person?
no, he's Chinese.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. The one Chinese fella in the team.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the Indians are the Mexicans, because they both like to drink and beat up their wives. It's a terrible joke. It's not my joke. It's not my joke.
It's not. So what we're talking about are just like the stereotypes that people have in Singapore.
Yeah. Yep.
So stereotypes is one thing, but I've also noticed that people here in conversations, they casually throw in the, I guess, race or ethnicity of people
Yeah.
when they just talk about like
For no
anything.
absolute reason. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I walk into a photocopy shop.
Yeah.
And then one of the store person is telling the other like, yesterday, that Malay person comes in and blah, 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 blah. But then the
Yeah.
story has actually nothing to do with this
Yeah.
person being Malay.
Yeah.
It's just a description
Yeah.
of this person,
And it's so unnecessary. So I think with that, it comes from our education system. So like back in school, we were told to describe race in essays or compositions, is what we would call it here. In oral exams, we would describe a photo, and then we would try to like describe it in clear, concise English, and then I would just go, "Oh, there is an Indian man in the foreground, and then there is a Malay person in the corner."
Because Malays are in the corner
all the time.
hanging out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So you're saying that was actually encouraged, or like the teachers would give you instructions to do that?
Yeah,
or?
I think so.
And also to clarify, when we say like Indian or Chinese,
Yeah.
these are not nationalities.
It's
We're not
not,
talking
yeah.
about like, the Indian person from Hyderabad.
Yeah.
They're all Singaporean.
Yeah, from Yishun.
From Asian.
Yeah. Oh.
So we're talking based simply on like appearance.
Yeah. It could easily be that. Like, it could just be like, hey, so my friend Subash from Yishun, But
Yeah.
it's never that here. It's like, oh, so my Indian friend told me, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah, because in school, when I would write essays, the
Yeah.
teachers would tell us, be descriptive, you should show and not tell.
Yeah.
But then those descriptions are more about like the mood of the person, or
Yeah.
like instead of saying that person walked into the room, you can say like that person skipped into the room, sauntered into the
Walks.
room, you know? But
Yeah.
then there wasn't so much of an emphasis
Yeah.
on, oh, that Malay
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
So I went to a bookstore in Tiong Bahru. It's like a really cute children's bookstore. And then I saw this series of books
Yeah.
that was like Understanding Singaporeans. And it won some award too.
Oh, did it?
The titles were like, Why do Indians dot their foreheads? Why do Malays avoid pork? Why do Chinese shout yamseng? So it's essentially like a little guidebook
Yeah.
with questions that kids might ask about different races. So I guess it's supposed to promote understanding between people groups.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think
Yeah,
it's
what
a
are your
little
thoughts
it's
on
a little
this?
weird.
Why do Eurasians love suji cake?
Yeah, why do Eurasians love suji cake?
I know a few Eurasians
Who love
are
suji
absolutely proud of their suji cake.
Like, I get that it's written out of good intentions.
Yeah.
But I feel like it still just buckets people. Back to the example with like taxi drivers asking me if I'm Chinese. A lot of the times the follow-up would be, do you speak Chinese? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they're like, why? But why don't you speak Chinese?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
should
you
learn
should, yeah.
Chinese. So even though it doesn't come out of harmful or like bad intentions,
Yeah.
but I think it just boxes people into like, if your face looks like this,
Yeah.
it's not even anything about like your background or
Yeah.
how many generations have you been in Indonesia. There's like none of that. It's just like, you look this way, you have this skin
Yeah.
color, you should speak Chinese.
Yeah.
You should, what are the other things? Shout yamseng.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you shout yamseng?
No, that's a very Singaporean thing,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then I think it doesn't open up the conversation to just like getting to know an individual for who they are.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
not
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
oh, you are thick.
Yeah.
You like, what do you like?
Music, yeah.
Yeah, you like music,
Football,
football,
corners.
corn. You know what I mean, though? It's
Yeah.
like,
How about you, Ev? What do you like?
I like recording podcasts.
Yeah, doing
I
well.
like hot chocolate with oat milk. You know, okay,
Okay,
what I
yeah.
mean, though, is like, we don't even think about people as intersections of all of these things of who they are. Like,
Yeah.
your gender, your whatever, sexuality,
Yeah,
ethnicity,
yeah,
nationality. Like, you're made
yeah.
up of all those things. But then when you so easily bucket people or just see people as like, oh, you look like this, you Muslim,
yeah.
you don't eat pork,
Yeah.
you whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that may be correct, but that's not.
It shouldn't be the first thing that comes.
Yeah,
to
and
mind.
it's also
Yeah.
just not your full identity, right?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like it's an old grandfather story, but this actually happened. 1964, July 21st, racial riots happened here in Singapore. The Malays and the Chinese at that point were in different political groups, which were also very religious based. So the Malays were, of course, a pro-Muslim political party, and then the Chinese were the PAP, basically. So on July 21st, it was a huge group of Malays had a procession. It was the anniversary of the birthday, actually, of Prophet Muhammad. So it was just like a peaceful protest. They were just walking, and then the political leader at that point made a more religious speech than a political one. Got everyone riled up. Yeah. So as they were marching, they got into a fight midway with a bunch of Chinese guys. So that sparked the riots back then. 23 people died.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, 400 people got injured. And then there was a curfew. Everyone needed to be home by 7. Things improved, I guess, over the
Right.
years.
I've heard about like HDBs, quotas. For those of you who don't know, HDBs stand for
Housing Development Board.
Yeah, so it's government housing.
Yeah.
I would say like the majority of Singaporeans would
Yeah.
buy an HDB,
Yeah.
right? And there's quotas, like racial quotas. How many Chinese people to how many Malays to how many Indians can live in one building.
In one apartment block.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've done that to promote multiculturalism. just to make sure that your kids hang out with other kids, and then you play at the playground, you go to the same schools. There are quotas everywhere, like even in schools, in classes. It's meant to be a good thing, obviously, but sometimes imagine finding the perfect apartment
Yeah.
and then just not being able to move in because you need another Chinese person to move out.
You're right. And that's how it is, right? So like HDBs that are already fully occupied.
Yeah.
As a Malay, you can only buy a
That's
unit
right.
from another Malay person.
Yeah.
Just to keep that quota in check.
Yeah,
Right?
the perfect balance.
And do you think that has worked? Like, does that encourage people to make friends outside of their ethnic background?
To a certain extent,
Yeah.
yes. Because back in the day, we would all live in different kampungs. Not me, but my parents. Like, the Malays were in Malay kampungs, the Chinese would be...
Kampungs are just neighborhoods.
Yes, where you would only see your skin type or your skin color, right? So, just being within the same vicinity gets you just used to seeing other races and what other people do, other cultures and stuff like that. Yeah,
Like you understand like why Eurasians like suji cake.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you see your Eurasian neighbor.
Might offer you some. Yeah. Rarely
Okay.
happens. But to be completely honest, like in schools, at least when I was still in school, like we used to hang out with our own race a lot more. I don't know why, but it was the case, I think. Yeah. I think a lot of people would agree to this. Comment down below.
I wonder, having quotas in schools and housing and whatever, like, does it get to a point where it actually just prevents further and natural integration?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think it started out like maybe you need to do that because otherwise, like, you would get just neighborhoods of certain people,
Yeah.
which has potentially a lot of negative implications,
Yeah.
right? But then
That's true.
if you continue just seeing people as races, and that's the first
Yeah.
thing that comes to mind, like you are renting this apartment, what does your skin look like? What does your face look like?
Yeah.
Like, is that, I
Yeah.
don't know, like, does that become counterproductive at some point?
Yeah. We've had friends who've been with property agents who have very strict rules of not accepting Indians
Yeah.
at all.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Which is completely insane. Like that is a thing. There was this one other time where our friend was mentioning to us about I think she was gonna go see an apartment, and then the property agent actually said like, "Are you sure that's really close to this Indian temple?" Yeah, I wouldn't want to even take you there to see it. Like, there's no point.
Yeah.
Which is completely insane. Like in this
Yeah.
day and age, that someone would even say that.
Yeah, so I know colleagues who are Indian who have like moved from India.
Yeah.
And when they try to rent a place here, they'll be asked like, what is your race? And when they say Indian, they straight up get rejected.
Oh my god.
And then the property agents will say, yeah, like this tenant doesn't want Indians. And a lot of times the excuse that I hear
Yeah.
being given is that, oh, because Indians cook smelly food and they don't want their place being smelly.
Oh, that is
which
insane.
is ridiculous,
That
right?
is insane.
Because then you should, I mean, if that really is your worry, maybe you should say, like, I want people who don't cook. Or, like, I don't know, like,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't have to be, like,
Yeah.
Indians cook smelly curry.
Yeah. Oh, that is crazy. I've actually seen that at a massage place as well. I've seen like a no Indian rule. Yeah. I was like, that's insane.
Yeah, right? To think that, like, in this day and age that you get... And it's not even rare. Like, I hear about it pretty often.
It's not even like a, hey,
Yeah.
like that place is close to a temple. Like it's just
They
straight up
say,
like, oh, are you sure? It's so close to an Indian temple. Oh, you sure you want to move there? It's like, it's not even
Yeah.
like a... If this were anywhere else, like say America, for example, if a tenant were to just go, no blacks allowed.
I think you could get sued for
Yeah,
that.
in Singapore, everyone's just like, oh, okay, I'll just find another place then. Which is sad. Another like negative race thing here is with the army. The Singapore Armed Forces actually does not allow a Malay person to be in a high-ranking position, or in the Air Force, or in the Navy. There's a reason for this, where I have a quote here, which I will read. So the quote by our founding father, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew himself, is, if, for instance, you put you put in a Malay officer who's very religious and who has family ties in Malaysia in charge of a machine gun unit, that's very tricky business. We've got to know his background. I'm saying these things because they are real. And if I don't think that, and I think even if today the Prime Minister doesn't think carefully about this, I and my family could have a tragedy. Yeah. So since that quote, there are just no, or not many, Malays in positions of power. So like a real life example, like my friend just told me, he was in the army serving national service at that point, and then he wanted to apply for the role of an intelligence officer. And then the superior just said to him, you know, you're not going to get in, right? But we can just do the interview anyways. Yeah.
Because
he's
he is Malay.
Yeah. And my friend is very intelligent. He would have been very good for the intelligence team. Yeah. He's very wise.
Yeah. So, you told me about this, and then I looked it up, and so it says Muslims are restricted from joining the Navy and Air Force under the rationale that they might be put in a position where they have to choose between religion and nation. Like, I feel like Singapore takes pride in being a country that has a lot of different cultures and religions and stuff. But then if you're not trusting a whole population of your people because you fear that they might not feel Singaporean enough. I don't know, like that.
Did you also know that men, or boys rather, who go to religious school here, they're not entitled to serve national service actually, because they could be influenced by extreme religion. Islamophobia is a real thing.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of understand why these things are in place, but it's just unfair for, say, just a good Malay person who just wants to get into the army and to serve his country. And what if this was his lifelong dream, to be in the Air Force, but he can't because he's Malay, right? Which is sad, but it's the sad truth, I guess. Out of all like my guy friends I know, say if we were to be put in a situation where another country is attacking us, at no point would we just go like, oh yeah, I'm with them. You know, like, like our friends are here, our family's here. That's who we want to protect.
Which tends to be how you feel about the place that you grew up in. Where your family is, where all your ties are, right? In general, in Singapore, it is still more just the hee-hee-ha-ha kind of racism, right? It's like, ha-ha, Malays. What are the stereotypes again?
We're always late. We're lazy. I'm both of that. We're really good at singing as well. All three Singapore idols, all Malay. Shout out Taufik, Hadi, and who's the other guy? Sazairi. Yeah. Shout out all three of you.
Do you think that it serves you any benefits?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because like the negative ones would play a bigger part. Some of my friends have brought this up. Like when you're interviewing a Malay person, for example, you would already have the mindset like this person comes from a certain type of background, wouldn't be as good or as hardworking as this other candidate who is Chinese, for example. Right? That already gives you a natural disadvantage.
Right.
So for jobs, scholarships, like in the army as well.
And that would be assuming that like the person who's interviewing is not Malay.
Yeah.
Or do you think Malays have that stereotype against?
Malays as well? Oh my god, that is so true. Like Malays don't want to see other Malays do well. The older generation, like they just get like, oh, why are they so successful? They must have done some black magic. It's always black magic with Malays.
In Indo, there's a lot of black magic too, though. It's very real. Like I know my friends who go to orang pintar, the smart people.
Or bomos, they call them. And then they will send like spiritual things to bring other Malay people down. So like Malays will always have this thing with each other.
You know, that's what they say about, I mean, before this stronger wave of like feminist movement came about, that's what they say about women too, right? Like in jobs or just in like life, women are socialized to look at other women as competitors. and you don't want to like bring others up with you.
Yeah, you're like that bitch or hoe.
Yeah.
Do we not curse on this podcast?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. I think it also comes with expectations.
Mm-hmm.
We're not expected to do as much or as well
Right.
as, say, our Chinese counterparts. I'm not generalizing. I'm sure there are a lot of Malay parents who want the best out of their children, but from personal experiences and from friends I personally know, we're not expected to do very much. So, for example, like just getting a job in an office. I work office.
Then you've like made it.
It's like, oh, well done, son.
It doesn't even really matter like what you do at the office.
They don't care.
I think with stereotypes, even if in that one interaction it wasn't harmful, but I think in the bigger picture, when you have those expectations of people, people end up living up to those expectations.
Yeah,
right? It's like if you expect your children to not do so well, and then amongst friends, your friends just kind of whatever, you know, you don't get a job, that's cool. Then people don't push themselves to work harder than that.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you could have gotten further, you get to office.
Yeah.
And then you're done.
Yeah.
You're like, I made it, you know?
Which is like me right now.
Those kind of stereotypes, it does limit people's potentials.
The story we've heard from this office where this lady, she wears a scarf, a tudong. She was in a Grab.
She was getting dropped off.
She was getting dropped off at Google.
Which is where she works.
And then the driver proceeds to ask her, hey, so do you work at the canteen here? Because of the stereotype that most ladies who wear hijab cook in kitchens or canteens, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But that actually happened. So she posted it on Facebook, and then everyone had an opinion. People were protecting the canteen staff a lot. They were like, there's nothing wrong with being a canteen staff.
For sure. There's nothing wrong with being a canteen staff, but that's not what it's about.
It's not.
That's not at all what it's about. It's that you look at someone and you're making an assumption about their skills or what career path they're taking.
Yeah, it's actually happened to me as well. I used to work near Boat Quay, where my office used to be, and then when I used to get dropped off, they would ask me, hey, so which bar are you working at? Yeah.
And you're like, no, office.
Yeah, office, bro. Actually, no, I just go like, yes, it's this one.
But do you really think that the racism will end with our parents' generation? Like, you think that people of this generation, with your friends, you don't think people are racist?
I really do feel like it will die with the older generation, because everyone doesn't see the other races like as competition the way people used to. I think people were just competing for everything, for businesses, for jobs, and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think we've come to a point, thankfully, where it is more based on merit, based on how well you do. I do believe that the integration has worked. Like, even if you're not very close friends with other races, you know who they are, you get along with them. It's just not as bad as it used to be. And I have very good Chinese friends, like you and everyone else. And I see that all the time. They're more mixed groups just hanging out all around Orchard and stuff like that. Like, no one sees the other race as a rival anymore. Like, we don't band together anymore to just say how much we don't like that other race.
Right.
And here's where the casual racism kind of works, because it's just banter. It's just jokes all the time, you know? For example, like, my Chinese friend could just come up to me and say, like, wow, for a Malay, not bad, you work office, you know? Like, and then I'll be like, I want to be more like you.
Right.
You know? Like, it's come to that, which is great.
And I just feel like that's a very optimistic view.
I am very optimistic.
Yeah, I don't know. I certainly hope so. I feel like here, even with people of our generation, like when I talk about the store people who are saying, oh, that Indian person. I mean, even when we talk amongst our friends, we'll be like, oh, that Chinese person, whatever. None of it is racist.
Yeah.
But I think that it's still so much more apparent here that, like, you are this color, you are that race, you know?
Yeah, you're right.
Which I guess comes back to, does noticing race make you racist? Or is that just... that's just human. We just notice differences if we talk about it, if we don't talk about it, it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
Diversity is not about being blinded to differences, right? It's that you notice differences, but then you embrace it, and you don't associate any like negative or positive. It's just, this is just the way it is.
You embrace.
But that's like so idealistic. Does it ever get there?
Someday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very positive about it. Like, I do believe we're on a good trajectory.
Yeah.
I have faith in my country. I just hope that the country has faith in me.
I hope so too.
With education and just like people learning, I think that this is gonna eradicate it. Not completely, but everyone's just gonna be more tolerant of each other. An example is with Malay weddings, usually at void decks, right? It's always very noisy, and it's usually from morning till like afternoon. But yeah, our Chinese neighbors they're like, it's one day, it's a wedding.
Yeah.
It's fine. We'll be okay. We'll go out or something.
Right.
Yeah, you guys take the day.
Is this as good as it gets in this time, because we see racism, like a lot more violent, overt racism happening in other countries.
Yeah.
Is this as good as it gets, at least in 2019 on planet Earth?
Yeah. Like, it could be worse.
It could be worse.
Yeah. We could be fighting all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we don't. From, like, say, 1964 to where we are today, we're at a point where everyone kind of understands, like, everyone's cultures right now. Like, you could ask any Malay person about Chinese New Year, and they would be able to tell you what it is.
Okay.
What it's about, right?
Yeah.
And then most Chinese people will be very respectful of Ramadan, of Hari Raya as well. And then there's this cute thing that happens at workplaces with shifts, right? So during Chinese New Year, all the Malays will work, so the Chinese guys can go on leave. Yeah, and the same thing happens on Hari Raya as well. Yeah, except for the guys who want to avoid their family. And they're like, okay, fine, I'll work. I know a few. Yeah.
And they'll tell their families, like, I can't get out of the shift. I really have to work.
Yeah, so there's these cute little things that happen here. So, for example, during Ramadan, during the bazaar, it's not just Malays going to the bazaar. Everyone goes, everyone enjoys the food. And then I think it's the same thing for Chinese New Year as well, like with the markets in Chinatown. Like, we go to see the lights and everything. It's very respectful, it's very nice. Could be sugarcoating a bit here, but it is true to a certain extent. Yeah. And then, like, everyone loves Little India here. We don't have to wait for Deepavali. Like, we're just in Little India all the time.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Yeah. Of course, there's always room for improvement. But
of course.
We've come a long way from the race riots.
Yeah.
And it's also just pretty good.
There's just one other thing I want to address is... Where's the camera? It's over here? Okay, yeah. To all the Chinese people out there, the jokers who think the corner jokes are funny, they're not, okay? Like, literally not a single Malay person has ever said lepak one corner. So...
Can you explain that for people who don't know?
Actually, it's kind of funny. This term called lepak one corner means like let's just go hang out at that corner.
Yeah.
Like, because Malays like to hang out all the time.
Yeah.
So like the term lepak one corner became a thing.
So lepak means hanging out.
Hanging out in a corner.
Corner means a corner.
A corner, yeah. Lepak one corner. Yeah, you know. So like jokes started happening. Like in football, they would say, "Hey, don't let the Malay guy take the corner kick because he will just lepak there."
Yeah.
So that's one. There are times where I'm with my Chinese friends, and then we walk into a restaurant. They're like, "Hey, sit in the corner. You'll feel very comfortable there." And then, yeah, I do feel comfortable, but it's not a thing. Okay, guys.
That's why we sat him here.
Yes.
Right next to
in a
this corner
yeah,
with
in
the
a plant. Yeah, all that's missing is a guitar, my motorcycle that I'm washing, and a glass of tea or tea. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it from us.
Thank you for listening.
Peace.
Bye.